Rainier. Hi, Robert. Hi, Rainier. I sing quite low as well. Still crying mode? Yes. Yes. One thing that we've learned about crying mode, Rainier, is the higher we go in frequency, the harder we need to thin the vocal folds and get into cry mode. All right. So what that means is the higher we go in our scales, or the higher the frequency in our singing, the more we sort of feel and experience the sensation of engaged cry mode. The lower we go in frequency, the less thinning that's required, the less engagement of cry mode that is required, and therefore the less we sort of feel and experience it. Okay? And because of that, sometimes students ask this question, questions that are similar to what you're asking here. The question is sort of framed, I'm hating this. Am I good? I think I'll be okay. The question is sort of framed around, when I'm really low, I don't feel and experience cry mode quite as much. So I think I'm not doing it. Or should I stop doing it, or do I not need to do it? Because it's sort of ghosty on low frequencies. The answer is you need to do it. Just do it on all frequencies. Even though on low frequencies, it's less, you experience less of it, you still want to engage it. Okay? Here's what that would sound like, by the way. So this is low note. Yeah, I'm waiting in my cold cell when the bell begins to chime, reflecting on my past life, and it doesn't have much time. 'Cause at 5 o'clock, they take me to the gallows pole. The sands of time for me are running low. By the way, notice how I'm edging that curving vowel? The curving vowel is O, but I put it forward. I didn't low, and then go back down here to a dopey throaty position. Went forward to the ringy, singy, pingy, bright, crispy position. Back to Rainier's question. That was okay. I mean, I thought it sounded nice, but now I'm going to purposely cry into it a little bit more. I'm waiting in my cold cell when the bell begins to chime. Still, I'm in cry mode. Reflecting on my past life, and it doesn't have much time. 'Cause at 5 o'clock, they take me to the gallows pole. The sands of time for me are running low. What's the difference between those two samples? Well, if you listen back, the first one was a little bit darker and curvier, and the resonance was I mean, for the sake of this conversation, we may agree that it sounded cool, it sounded good. Okay, but that doesn't change the fact that the resonance was sort of back, dopey, and heavy, and I don't have as much agility, and it really doesn't amplify quite as nice. Where the second one had more active cry mode engagement, which amplified the sound better, made it feel better in my voice, physically felt better. It gave it sort of a weepy, crying coloration to it, which all listeners interpret as amplified or increased or enhanced emotion. It's one of the things that you get from cry mode is it communicates on a subconscious level enhanced emotion, which if you're a singer, that's a good thing and helpful. It gave me better compression. I got better vocal fold compression from it. It removed any chance of pharyngeal constriction, more so than the first sample. And I mean, it was more fun to sing, it sounded better, and it was all fairly low. Those were fairly low notes, okay? But I cried into them. So there's your lesson right here. Hope that was helpful. Greg, as a male singer, what is the last key they can reach? Well, so Greg is asking me as a male singer, what's the highest note they can reach? It just depends on the individual, Greg. It depends on vocal fach, the voice type. It really depends. But I'll answer this by telling you this. In my opinion, with the TVS training program and belting in the head voice, I think that all male singers, at a minimum, need to at least at a minimum, be able to get to a C5. Okay. If you can get to a C5 and below, you're going to be able to sing 98% of everything you're going to need to sing. Above C5, I'm not going to do it right now, okay? But on a good day, I can sort of scream a high, a G sharp, a G or G sharp 5. I have a recording of Child in Time by Deep Purple out at YouTube. Type in Robert Lunte, Child in Time. You can watch me. I'm screaming the high G. Or it's either the G or the G sharp. Okay? That's pretty high. But, I mean, I've heard friends and people go far beyond that, up to C6 for a male voice. It's a little bit more rare and freaky. But when we talk about singing super high, I think it's important to also talk about what's practical as well. Like at some point, if you get up to the whistly stuff, for example, my buddy Jens Johansson from Sweden, you see him in the group sometimes. He's like a whistler. It's super cool, but its practical application is very almost no practical application other than maybe, you know, entertaining your friends at a party, right? So singing high is important. Bare minimum, train C5. Okay, make that your goal. And if you can get up to the E and the G, you can do anything you want to do pretty much. Anything above that is just, I don't know, it's not all that necessary, but cool. It's still cool. It's still equally cool if you train to do that. I admire Jens's ability to whistle. It's a really cool skill. And developing the motor skills to whistle super high like that actually benefits your voice and your singing down at lower, more applicable frequencies. So there's benefits to the entire voice when you work on that stuff. But the first goal that you guys should be going for as men is C5. Okay. Very clear. Thanks. You are welcome, Munir. Hey, John Crilly. This is cool. John, I really hope you're watching this right now, and I didn't bore you yet. This is a John Crilly story. John Crilly was my boss, and God, John, what was it, 25, 30 years ago? I mean, it would have been 2000, yeah, it would have been about 20 years ago or more. John Crilly was my boss. And I was a loudmouth, sort of sort of a, fairly successful sales guy in a company, and John was my sales manager. So I was sort of developing skills on managing stress and people confrontation issues and things like this. I guess that's what you would call it. John came up with this thing. He called it Lunte Factor. So John's got gray hair now. It's large part because of Lunte Factor. So John had a sales rep on his team that gave him headaches. There was sort of a pain in the ass, and he called it Lunte Factor. And John, were it not for the fact that I was selling and closing deals, he would have fired my ass, I'm sure. But fortunately, I was fairly successful, so they had to put up with me. That's John Crilly. Hey, John, hope you're doing great. Greg, okay, any other questions, you guys? We've got about 10 minutes. Any other questions here? It's been fun catching up with you.